Welcome, everyone, to the Insurance Perspectives podcast. This is part 2 of our series on Cara AI. In case you missed part 1 of our series on Cara AI, please go back and listen to hear more from Nikhil. For part 2, we turn to a mutual HawkSoft and Cara AI customer to learn how Cara is used inside a real independent insurance agency. Dawn Roberts is the principal and owner of LeDoux Insurance. Dawn grew up in the insurance space, getting her license when she was 18 years old. Her dad started LeDoux Insurance in 1979, selling life insurance. In the early 80s, the agency started selling P&C. She became the president in 1993, loves the changes and challenges the insurance world presents. Dawn, everyone, thank you for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
If you would, Dawn, tell us about your agency. How many people do you have? How many locations do you have? Do you specialize in any area?
Well, we have about 25 people. Of those, we have about 16 licensed agents, 3 CSRs. We also have a remote worker up in Washington. We're based in Oregon here. And we also have 1 VA in Mexico. We also have 3 people in our finance department. Andrew, who is our IT director and security advisor, and a processor. So we have quite the crew. 4 locations, all spread out Oregon. Main one here is in Eugene, which is where about 15 of us are actually out of. And then we have a smaller location in Albany, just a little ways above Eugene. Salem, we have a few people in there, and then Woodburn location. We also have primarily we do personal lines, even though when my dad started the agency, it was life and health is mainly what he did. Soon after that, he realized that P&C was probably going to be more of his niche. So personal lines, it's about 85% of our business. We have about 10% in commercial lines, and then the last little bit, about 5%, we have for life and
Wow.
health.
And as we were talking about earlier, you've been a HawkSoft user for 30 years. Talk a little bit about your relationship with HawkSoft over the years. That's incredible.
It's always been it's ever changing, obviously. I think when we first got HawkSoft, it was just auto that we were able to insert into them, and it's been awesome seeing how it's grown and progressed within itself and the technology that they've integrated. We just migrated over to HawkSoft 6. So far, it's been pretty good. There's been a few challenges, but overall, it's been really great. I'm glad to make the move.
What kind of things were you looking for when you first encountered Cara AI? What drew you to them?
Well, I first heard about Cara through a podcast that I was listening to. At the time, we've been struggling with, phone coverage and worried about staffing gaps. We needed a solution that could answer calls consistently and integrate with our management system and assist clients easily and accurately. Cara kind of checked all those boxes for us and really made it an easy answer to some of those issues that we were having.
What are the features that you would say you and your team are actively using with Cara AI?
The main one that we're using right now is the AI assistant or the
Okay.
reception assistant. We first started out as just having it answer on evenings and weekends. We dabbled in a few days during the week where it could answer in the mornings, and then we tried the afternoons. What we found just with our clientele and, based on how long we've been doing business, we have a lot of older clientele as
Yeah.
well. We decided to still have it answer the phones during the day, our regular phones, the way that we were doing it before. And then if the person has to sit on hold for any longer than 2 minutes, then we have it transferred to Cara so that those
Oh,
people
good.
are being helped. So there's no wait time or anything. And that's the nice thing too, as we were struggling with staffing and being able to manage the phone calls that were coming in, Cara really was able to step in and make sure that all calls were answered. We were struggling with people sitting on hold for 10, 12 minutes at a time.
Mm.
And obviously that's unacceptable. So this really helped us in that realm.
What would you say that you, excuse me, what would you say your agency can do now with Cara that they couldn't do before?
We're doing a lot more quote proposals. So some of the few staff that we have that are users on there, well, we're getting calls answered obviously more frequently. And then secondly, we're doing the quote proposals, which has been really awesome. We are able to take a quote. For example, I had one of my insureds that's been with me for a really long time. As with every agency, I think they're struggling with, even though people are loyal to us, they're still shopping for the insurance rates.
Yeah.
And so I had somebody that was a really good client of mine, and she went out and had gotten a few quotes, and she brought them back to me and said, "Hey, I'm getting these quotes. Can you do anything with it?" I was able to get her some requotes. I dumped both of those into Cara, and I asked it to provide me a comparison of the two. It was really, really awesome. I was able to do this whole clean proposal. I could choose the type of font I wanted, the type of interaction that I wanted it to present to the client,
Mm.
and I sent that over to her. It was able to bullet point things out, and her response was like, "I really want to believe that you did this, so please don't tell me it was AI,"
Oh,
because
really?
she was just like she was blown away by how professional it looked and how simplified it was for her to be able to read. So that's kind of the next thing that we've been utilizing it for. And as I was, explaining to Nikhil earlier, that we know that there's some other areas that we want to venture into to see what else it can do for us. We've already been really excited about the things that it can do for us.
A challenge that I've had, and I think a lot of other agencies have had, is it's one thing that if I view, a product like this and see the value in it and the benefit of it, but it's another thing to get my team on board and utilize it. What would you say the reception was of your group and how much they are adopting these new processes?
It was a little slow going at first. I mean, I think initially we had staff that thought, is this going to be replacing me?
Mhm.
Why do we need this? So we did have to explain, calls weren't being answered, and we want to make sure that the
Yeah.
clients are being taken care of. I think we had a little bit of backlash from clients. We did make an announcement to them. We wanted them to be aware that we had this assistant available to them. We had a couple of responses saying, well, if you guys are going to, I don't want to support an agency that is going to replace people with an AI. And so I was able to reach out to those clients and assure
Mhm.
them that that's not what was going on, and they ended up being really happy and excited that we were doing this to better them, not so much to replace the people that we have in our agency, which hasn't happened at all. We're trying to instill the fact that this is about building more of letting them have time to build the relationship with the client, where this can AI Cara can pick up the pieces on the other side for technology and stuff that makes it a little bit easier.
Do you have any advice for agencies that are looking to adopt a program like this on how um, share it with your team? And I think those are really good messages. This isn't replacing anybody, but now that you've gone through it, do you have any advice for somebody that's looking to take on a program like Cara?
It does take a lot of time. It does take, a lot of effort to, it's not going to be something that you're going to integrate into your office and it's going to be just an out of the box deal, making sure that you have the time to do that.
What is one thing, if you could, you would change about the Cara AI platform or improve on in your view?
I do wish that when Cara answers a call and there's a client on there, that when it goes into HawkSoft, it can read who the agent is and get them directed right to that agent right away. Where right now, it's not able to read who we have, maybe an agent one space. Uh, which we've created some workarounds for that, and I know that that's something that's being worked on with Cara, but that would probably be one of the things, is just being able to get it directly to the person that we need it to.
In such a crowded space, and there's so much noise out there, and AI is definitely the a topic of our industry and most industries. What led you to choose Cara?
Again, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I know that there has been quite a bit around Cara, and just listening to the way that people have talked about it and they've interacted with it. And it just seemed like it would be a natural fit for something that we needed, that fill that need in our office that we'd been looking for.
How would you describe the overall value that Cara has brought to your agency?
It's made us more efficient and client focused. Calls that would have gone unanswered are now handled promptly. Quote request and client information are captured and relayed to the right person without delay. It's like having an extra team member who never never takes a break. I think reducing headaches and streamlining some of our processes.
What specifically are some of those processes that you've been able to streamline?
Some of the quoting. So if somebody calls in for a quote, and I haven't mentioned this yet, but somebody calls in for a quote and we don't have anybody available to take it, we've been able to configure the questions that we wanted to ask to be able to relay that to the agent. So we already have a head start. And I always have a feeling that, if somebody calls in for a quote and if we're unable to take it right away, if they're just leaving a name and phone number, the chances are that person doesn't feel invested enough to care if we call back, or if they do, if we do, then maybe they're not going to answer us. This way, they've at least given quite a bit of information to where they feel a little bit more invested in providing that quote, and they'll be waiting for that return call. So I feel like there's just been a little bit more of that opening of them accepting our callback or email or text or whatever it might be to provide that quote.
Since you use the voice product so much, and I think you've come a long way. I think a concern of agents, and Nikhil, correct me if I'm wrong on this terminology, but are there any statistics, or have you seen a large, if it's a drop rate, if somebody, a customer calls in and they hear that it's AI on the phone and they automatically just hang up? Nikhil, are there statistics on there about, how often that is? And part two of that, is there a process set up, whether it's like an automated text that goes out to say, hey, I see that you've called. Is there something we can help you with?
For the first part of that question, our team does have aggregate statistics on calls across all agencies. So we know kind of how, we'll do like a sentiment analysis and say like, okay, how did this call go? Were customers generally happy? Did they have a positive experience, negative experience? We'll also track whether the original ask on the call was resolved or unresolved. Did it need to be transferred? Why was the call dropped? I would say the specific case around, hey, if Cara discloses that it's an AI on the phone, how does the customer react? I think this is kind of like a tail case, and we have this tail on both sides. So we'll say like probably less than like 3% of customers will react really poorly, strongly about an AI, and they'll just be like, I don't want to talk to this AI, just transfer me to a human. We'll also have the other tail, like the approximately 3% of calls that really lean into the fact that it's an AI and have like a 20-minute long philosophical conversation with the AI, like, talk about their life and things that they have going on. And, Cara is, obviously it's insurance specific, so it always tries to steer the conversation back to the topic. But, Cara also wants to provide a good experience to the customer. So Cara will humor them for a little while. So we've seen customers on both ends. They're really averse to AI, and also customers that are really intrigued by AI.
I would agree. When we look at some of the conversations that come through, because we look at all of them, which is really nice. You can actually like read through exactly how Cara answered it and how she responded, how people responded to her, and for the most part, it's been positive. We do have a few people that have called in. It's like, I just want a human. I don't want to talk to a computer. And from there, it is nice. Cara will be like, okay, I'm going to get you directed over to someone. I did have a situation the other day where a lady had called in over the weekend, and she wanted to let us know that her husband had passed away. So Cara was gathering that information, and in the end, she told the lady that she was very sorry for her loss. So it was very warm. It was very human like, and I will say with Cara, you hardly even know that it is a robot that you're talking to or an AI I mean, you can pick different voices, and we feel like the one that we've picked has a very, nurturing, comfortable voice, and it just flows really well. I mean, sometimes she can get a little wordy. Sometimes you can tell people might get a little irritated if she's asking the same question over again. But I think that the more that it's being utilized, the better it is getting, as with anything.
So with the voice like that, is there ability to kind of, after you review a conversation like that, is there ability to correct or potentially correct some conversation and maybe steer it in more of a direction that you might want it to go?
We wouldn't necessarily be in the middle of a conversation and be able to go back. This would be after the fact. But yes, if there's something in there that we didn't like, that we felt like maybe we can tweak on our end in there, yes, we have done that. I'm trying to think of an actual. I did notice on a few of the quotes that maybe it was asking too many questions, so we did kind of curtail that a little bit and take off a few things. That's something right offhand I can think about.
Dawn, I really liked what you said about or the idea or the action that you took to send something out to your customer base to say, hey, we have this AI voice. This is what we're utilizing it for. It's not replacing anybody. I think maybe a message like that helps warm your client base to it and understanding. Outside of that, Nikhil, are there maybe some best practices? There's kind of a debate or sometimes this conversation about announcing that it's an AI platform because people don't like to be fooled. Like they might, like you said, it can be many of these systems can be very sound very human, and then they figure out that they're talking to a robot and they get upset. Are there other best practices, do you think, that we should follow for using a voice platform like this?
The best practices are really going to depend on your clients and your customers. Some of our agencies, their clients are very excited that there's an AI that can help them 24/7. Other agencies, some of our agencies don't use the voice AI at all because they know that their clients are not going to like it, and that's fine because they find other value in Cara. As for like best practices with Cara, I think evaluating your client base, starting with that is probably what I would recommend. And you can adjust a lot of things about Cara, like how the speed at which Cara speaks, the accent that Cara has to kind of localize it. You can change the introduction phrase that Cara uses. So by default, Cara will say something like, "Hi, this is Cara from LeDoux Insurance Agency. How can I help you?" You can change that and say like, "Hi, I'm Cara. I'm an AI assistant. For LeDoux Insurance Agency." So really knowing your clients is like the number one thing that I would suggest. Like how are they going to react to this? And then you can tune Cara appropriately.
And that's what we did. The initial message didn't say that the caller was getting an AI assistant. And we were getting a lot of people saying, "Am I talking to a robot? Am I talking to a computer?" To just alleviate that altogether, our beginning message is that it is there, an AI assistant of LeDoux, and there to help as much as possible. So that eliminated a lot of that.
I really like how you're using it too as an overflow,
Hmm.
to, um, your other people that are answering the phone. And I think especially if you leave a message, something to the effect of, I'm able to, no one's available to take your call right now. And I'd imagine, in that regard, the adoption rate is a lot higher. Like, okay, well, there's nobody available. So, um, I
Right.
might as well talk to her. Cara AI is I believe advertised as it basically comes ready out of the box, right? What was the onboarding like with Cara when you first started?
We really tested it for about a month before we even like threw it out there to start answering calls, and we were doing a lot of testing. We were having a lot of our agents call in and just ask it random questions so we can kind of get a feel for how it would answer and how we wanted to curtail it and make it our own. Again, I would not say that you get this and then the next day you're throwing it out there and it's usable. You definitely want to take the time with it a little bit and just make it your own, and make sure that utilizing it the best that you can.
Last question: how would you say Cara improves your client agent relationship?
Well, we're getting our calls answered, where before people were sitting on hold. We were getting a lot of complaints of sitting on hold for a really long time, the call getting dropped, just not getting the assistance that they needed. So I think overall that has gone away. I mean, we still might get a few people in there that are not totally in love with the AI aspect, but I think now that we've transitioned it to be the 2 minute rule on there, to where it picks it up if they've sat on hold, they can appreciate the fact that they're getting some assistance rather than sitting there and waiting or the call getting dropped.
I think you said something there that was very key. You had a problem that has gone away, which
Hmm.
is really what we're looking for
Yeah.
with a lot of these, programs.
Yes. Yes.
I want to thank you all again for being here and sharing everything about Care AI and the conversation. I think it's going to be very helpful to our audience.